Hey everyone, Mark here. This is going to be supposed to be our fourth video on this storm shelter project. This one is actually going to be on the supplies that we keep in the shelter. It's going to be posted ahead of the third one, which is the one on improvements. Improvements are in process, just we don't have enough done to really make a good video. I got a few things done, but maybe I'll post it. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, this video is actually about a couple, 3 weeks delayed. My last trip down, I recorded everything for this video, took it home, put it in the computer to do the editing, and lo and behold, the sound was messed up. So, reshooting today, actually, pardon the Hollywood look with the sunglasses and all, but it's a bright sunny day here in the Midwest after multiple days of rain and quite a few inches of rain accumulated. So anyway, what we're doing in this video is we're detailing the stuff, the items, the emergency supplies that we're keeping inside the shelter. Yeah, you could get away with nothing in there just to outlast a tornado coming through, because they typically blow through in a couple of minutes. But you never know. It might have one of those long chain storm cell systems that are going through, and you might end up being there longer than you thought. What we'll be doing is detailing each of these categories of stuff that we're putting in the shelter, and showing you what we keep in the containers. The containers we're using, everything stored in the shelter is going to be in a sealed container of some kind. This is due to the ever-present humidity we have here in the Ozarks and Midwest in general, which can lead to mold and mildew accumulation and so forth. Also helps keep out creepy crawlies, bugs and spiders and whatever, dust, dirt. For the most part, we're using 5-gallon buckets with the what they call gamma lids. It's basically a lid that clamps onto the top and unscrews. The peel-off lids work for a while, but they typically seem to break over time, so I invest a few more dollars to put those in. Also, we have some larger supplies kept in these totes that we found at Home Depot. The brand's called Husky, and they're 20-gallon containers. What's great about them is that around the lid they have 6 fairly good clasps that hold the lid on nice and tight, and in between is a gasket seal. So that should be really nice and humidity proof, as it were. And that in addition to the desiccant packs that we put inside. All the containers are going to have those desiccant packs to help absorb humidity. So anyway, that's all stuff we got off of Amazon. So anyway, let's get to those supplies. All right, well, let's take a look at the supplies we're keeping in the shelter. What I'm going to do is do this by running a sort of an imaginary scenario that actually could be realistic at some point. We're down here at the cabin. It's early springtime. Starting to look ominous outside. Pretty soon the weather radio goes off. And we look out to the west, and there you can see it, a big storm coming up heading this way. The wind's picking up, some lightning, thunder, hail maybe, and definitely lots of rain, torrential rain. Possibly even a tornado warning comes out. So at some point we make a decision. Yeah, time to head to the shelter. So typically during a strong storm like that, you're going to get a lot of rain, and you're going to get wet getting into the shelter. And being maybe a little chilly out and being soaking wet, at the very least in the shelter, you just could be cold and uncomfortable. And at the worst, depending on how much time you spend in there and temperatures and all that, you could end up going hypothermic, which is definitely not a good thing. So first thing you want to do is get dry and put on some dry clothes. So here we go. Got a couple of towels we're keeping in here. Dry off with. Once you get dry, I've got a whole bunch of dry clothes to change into, both summery kind and some more warmer stuff in case it's more chilly outside. And if it is more chilly outside, I saw this in another video. A guy had went and got a bunch of these little throw blankets that you keep on your couch, like if you're watching Netflix some night and got a little chill. $5 a piece. Got 4 of them. One of the grandkids opened this one up already. But anyway, so you can cover up with that. If it ends up being one of those long chain where you're going to be in there for an extended period of time, or ended up being an overnighter or something like that, and you want to lay down, I got a couple of those travel pillows and some nice warm fuzzy pillow covers for them to stay dry and cozy, of course. So that's the first segment of materials. Obviously everything's kept in our Husky boxes with the sealed lids and the good clasp systems, well labeled on the outside, dry clothes and towels, and blankets and pillows, and I got some extra towels in there as well. So let's move on to the next segment. Continuing with our scenario, storm comes up, raining like crazy, we run to get in the shelter, maybe get a little bit wet, get dried off, get some dry clothes. But you're going to need some lighting to do that. So this is some of our options for lighting. And lighting is definitely necessary. With the shelter door closed, it's dark. I mean, it is coal mine at midnight dark in there. So here's some of our lighting options. First up is a ceiling mounted RV type 12 volt DC LED light fixture. It runs again off of 12 volts DC, and here's where we get the power from that, from this little device right here. It's put out by a company called NextPow. Basically, it's called a portable power station. It has a capacity of 300 watts. Inside here are some lithium batteries that can produce both 110 volt AC and or 12 volt DC power. We have needs for both. You can charge this thing up by using the wall charger, or if the grid happens to be down due to big storms, you can recharge by solar panels, which we had when we were off grid here. On the back side here, it's got 2 12 volt DC ports and then 2 AC receptacles out there that produce 110 volts. We're going to use those to power a small flat screen television I've got so that we can watch weather broadcasts coming from Springfield through our digital antenna we've got mounted up on the cabin. I got to run a cable in there first, but anyway, that's to be done. Also on the side here, there's some USB ports that you can use to charge cell phones, and I've got a couple of cables in there for that, or run a laptop or iPad or something. It also has some lighting capabilities on it. On the end up here, there's a button you can press, and you get this nice bright white. That's pretty bright white. It's hard to see here in this bright sunlight. You can change that to amber if that's a little too bright. And then for like a warning system, it's got a flash white or flash amber. So yeah, there's another option for lighting as well. That's a pretty cool little device. I had seen somebody else on another YouTube video used one. I got this one off of Amazon. It was about 300 bucks. So we got some additional lighting options as well. We've got flashlights, and these are kind of neat ones in that it has an actual real flashlight, but on the side here, it's got this little kind of a fluorescent tube that produces a sort of a floodlight. So you're looking for a little bit of light, not too bright, late at night in there, that'll work out just fine. Spare batteries for those. Also got a couple of these headlights run off of AAA batteries, and the best part about those is that you can mount it up on your forehead, and it's hands-free operations instead of having to hold a flashlight like that. Another option is these chemical lights. Those are the kind where you snap them and shake them and produces a chemical light for like 8 to 12 hours, something like that. Got several of those. For communications, we've got this great little crank portable disaster radio. It's got a little dynamo on the side here where you crank it up and it'll charge up the NiCad batteries in there. It's got an AM/FM radio as well as weather radio.
Willie Station is the new 101.3 Real Country.
There's Willie Nelson.
Off the road again.
It's got a flashlight on it also. I know you can't see it in this light, but there's a little flashlight right here as well. So the last item is this VHF scanner that we've got tuned to the Laclede County Emergency Services Fire Department, so we can listen to see what's going on out there as well. Fortunately, this is an older scanner I had. Laclede County hasn't moved over to the UHF 800 megahertz yet, so this is still in the VHF range and works just fine. Okay, that's our electrical stuff. As everybody's definitely aware of, that biological emergencies can happen anytime, anywhere. And if you happen to be stuck inside our shelter for a storm and you need to use the restroom, well, this is our solution. We've provided a restroom facility. Typically this is a camping kind of a thing, but it'll work for what we're doing here. You may or may not have seen these things before. They're called luggable loos. Basically it's a 5-gallon bucket with this potty lid stuck on the top. What we do with it is we take some trash can liners and line the bucket first, put on the top, pour in some kitty litter that will help with liquids and a little bit of odor retention. And then when you're done with your business, here's some toilet paper in a plastic bag. When you're all done with your business, here's some wet wipes you can clean your hands with, finalize with some hand sanitizer, and most importantly, for everybody else in the shelter, some deodorizing spray. Now, we also put up a privacy curtain inside the shelter such that if you're in the corner and you're doing your business, it's not a public thing, it can be a private thing. So that's how we do it. Okay, following up with our scenario, it's going to be a long night, or maybe the big storms came in right about dinner time and we didn't get to eat yet, and you're hungry. So we provided for some snacks and food and some water for the shelter. So we keep everything in these orange boxes. They've got the clasps on the end and the gasket seals, as well as the desiccant packs inside to help pull out moisture and so forth. So starting with a case of water here, there's a bottle of 24 20-ounce bottles we got. If that's not enough, I had some of these left over from some prepper stuff here a while back. There's purified drinking water in these little pouches. I got a couple of packages of those. Here's one from the Red Cross pack. And I got a few more inside these drink bottles I've got here. So there's another 6. If that's not enough, and the big disaster has happened and we need to live off the land, as it were, we can take water from one of the ponds. We have a couple of ponds on the property here, filtered through some coffee filters, and once all the debris is filtered out, we can put a couple of these water purification tablets in that will kill all the bugs and germs and viruses and so forth and so on. Realistically, a case of water isn't that expensive, a couple more bucks. I think next grocery trip I'm going to grab another one of those, put it in. Okay, so the next thing we've got is snack bars. These are put out by a company called Millennium. They're not too bad, actually. I've eaten several of them just to taste test, and the flavors, it's okay. It's okay. It's an emergency, right? We've got apricot, orange, coconut, and lemon flavors in here. For actual food, I threw about 4 MREs in for me. These kind of come with the heater packs where you put the meal pouch inside, put a little bit of water, and the chemical reaction creates heat and warms up the meal. I also got some freeze-dried stuff in here. Now my wife happens to have a gluten allergy, so I found ReadyWise has some gluten-free meals prepared. So here's a couple here, teriyaki rice, and this one's loaded baked potato casserole. And just to have some extra stuff, I threw in some freeze-dried vegetables. There's peas, broccoli, corn, and a dessert, some dried peaches. I haven't tried those yet. I'm kind of interested in trying some of those. If you like your water like water, that's fine, but if you like water with some flavoring, we've got a couple of these little pouches where you drop in and can flavor up your water. If you wanted something warm to drink, we've got some Nestle hot chocolate packages inside. You can heat up the water and make some hot chocolate. Or if you want some kind of soupy kind of a stuff, I got some beef bouillon cubes in here as well. So, what disaster supplies kit wouldn't be complete without some Vienna sausages, right? In case we found some canned goods and whatever, I got a military P38 can open here as well. And then, in the big picture, I've got some reading material in here. Food and water in an emergency put out by FEMA, and is the water safe? So, some things to read while you're bored inside there waiting for the storm to blow over. So, there we go. Dinner's ready. As we're aware, MREs are pretty much minimal as far as preparation goes to make them available to eat. Stick them in the little pouch with the heater meal, put a little bit of water in there, and it heats up magically and ready to eat. But the freeze-dried stuff in there is going to require some hot water to reconstitute them and to make them edible. So here's how we're doing it. First off, we start with the little stove here. This is a little older backpacking style stove. It takes Coleman gas, this white gas. We keep some in this fuel flask, got a little funnel here. You put some into the fuel port here, you pump it up here, and it produces a little gas at the top. Use an ignition source, got a butane lighter here, and then you can heat stuff up on the top of it up there. In addition, to be able to eat, I've got a couple of mess kits in here. This particular one I used to use when I was backpacking back in Colorado in the 70s. That would be the 1970s, not 1870s. You can tell it's been used. It's still got a lot of carbon from the campfires. Despite trying to be cleaned up a little bit, it's served its time. Got a newer one for my wife. In addition, we've got some silverware in here, these little nesting spoon, fork, and knife setups. I got 3 of those, plus an extra little camping style knife here with another knife, fork, and spoon on it. In addition, everything is kept in the 5-gallon bucket there with the desiccant packs. If we're going to heat up some water to make some coffee, some hot chocolate, or tea, or whatever, I've got these larger thermal mugs right there that work out really well, and an extra little water bottle to contain water. Continuing with our scenario, we've made it into the shelter. We got warm and dry, we got lights going, maybe we had a meal or a snack or something, but going to be in there for a little bit. So these are some things, what we call comfort and entertainment. Again, in this 5-gallon bucket with the screw lids on the top. Sitting in the folding chairs that we've got for an extended period of time, it gets kind of hard on the butt. So got a couple of these foam pads, got it from the garden center at Walmart. Very nice in the long term for sitting in the shelter. In case you've got any injuries getting in or out, here's a little small first aid kit. Just, nothing, it's not a trauma kit, it's just a little Band-Aids and Bactine kind of kit. If we have to leave the shelter for whatever reason and it's raining pretty good, I got a couple of these little small umbrellas, again Walmart specials, and a couple of rain ponchos. If you've been in the Midwest in the summertime, or pretty much anywhere in the summertime when the bugs are out, I got some bug repellent wipes here to wipe down for mosquitoes and whatnots, and these things are amazing. This is a mosquito or bug head net. Put them over your head, and it keeps the no-see-ums out of your eyes and nose and your mouth and your ears, and just crazy. They're worth their weight in gold, which isn't much, but I paid $1 for them somewhere along the line. Got a whole box of them I use around the property here anyway. So if it's chilly out, I got a couple of packages of these little chemical hand warmers where you tear open the packs, squeeze them a couple times, get some oxygen in there, and they start generating a little bit of heat. If it gets boring in there, we got a couple of entertainment things we can do. Got a pack of playing cards, and who doesn't like Uno? And if you got a mess, I got another little pack of cleaning wipes here that you can use. And if you're really, really bored, I got a couple of books here. This one is put out by the U.S. Department of the Army in October 1970. It's a book on survival. I found it somewhere along the line, and it's interesting. Tells you how to live off the land. And then I got another book called Encyclopedia of Survival Techniques. Something else, if this is really a big, bad, serious situation, and you can live off the land that way. During my investigation on YouTube of everybody else that had storm shelters, I came across a video. It was a 2 or 3 minute long video by a woman that put up that had a kind of an interesting point to it. She was home alone. She went out to her shelter to check on stuff, whatever, got inside, closed the door, And when she was done ready to leave, she couldn't open the lock. The lock had jammed or something, so she was trapped inside. Fortunately, she had her cell phone with her, and she had a signal inside the shelter, so she was able to call her husband at work. He left work, came home, got her out. So her point was to have some tools available such that if you find yourself locked in your shelter, that you can remove the lock set to get in and out. So that's what we've got here. Got a little small assortment of tools. Got a multi-tool here. Everybody needs one of those. Got a adjustable crescent wrench, flathead and Phillips head screwdriver, and a pair of vice grips. The owner of Midwest Storm Shelters offered up this suggestion, in that if you're in your shelter and the storm has gone through and blown some trees down or whatever, and there's laying across the entrance to the shelter, and you can't push it open, he said get you a bottle jack and put it inside, cut a piece of 4x4 to help jack the door open. So happen to have one laying around. I got a 4x4 cut, but I didn't lay it up on the table here, so it's down in the shelter. In addition, if once you get out, there's some debris needs to be, like a tree needs to be trimmed to get in and around and get out. Here's a little handsaw. For personal protective equipment, got a couple of sets of leather gloves, a couple of sets of these black jersey gloves, got some dust masks, and some safety goggles as well. In addition, threw in a little extra bit of nylon cordage for whatever reason. And then, if by chance we need some more fire making materials, I got a box in here specifically for that. It's got some Strike Anywhere matches, it's got a couple of extra butane lighters, and one of those magnesium fire starters like you see on Survivor all the time. So that's our toolkit. Well, there you go. This is all the stuff that we happen to think about to put in the cabin. Will we use everything we put in there? I don't know. Kind of doubtful. That would be a worst case scenario, and who knows what's going to happen. But you never know. Like the old saying says, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. So with that in mind, keep an eye out for the actual third video to be posted. That's on improvements. Probably what I'm going to do is, because I'll be doing it in little small segments at a time, and it might take a year, I don't know. I think I'll put it out in several installments, as it were, and I'll call it 3A, 3B, 3C, and so forth. So we'll see how that goes as time goes on. Like I said early, I've got a few things done improvement-wise, so I might post a real short version of that and call it 3A. So enjoy. Hope you learned something, as I did from a lot of the YouTube videos. And if you got any questions or comments, you know where to write them. Thanks for watching.